today. So every day we start fresh because we can't affect the past, but we damn sure can make a difference today.
Welcome back to another episode of Shop Talk. This week we are talking about the penultimate episode of The Rookie, which featured Angela and Nyla's moms, Skip Tracer Randy, and a whole lot of other chaos.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into news first, but then we'll recap the episode.
Yeah, so somehow we're already at finale time, which is actually crazy to think about.
Yeah.
The promo for next week, though, Oscar's back with a vengeance. Literally
Right.
tased John Nolan at a vending machine.
I know. I was like, of all the places.
Yeah. And then he was
Why?
like, that stuff will kill you, John Nolan. And then he like takes a drink of it. And I'm like,
Right.
okay.
The irony.
Yeah. Because it's not
Yeah.
going to do anything to him. And then Chenford, of course. Hello.
Yeah. All the hints, anyway,
hmm
that, they're heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
So,
I do want to
let's
know
go.
why in the promo Lucy is laying across her bed like that. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just kind of like odd, I feel like, you know?
I don't know. Maybe she's like tired from like night shift or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, or her first, like, sergeant duties or whatever. I don't know.
hmm
But yeah, I'm like surprised that they didn't really show like Harper because how like the descriptions like John and Harper work together to catch
Yeah.
Oscar. I'm like, where is Nyla?
Yeah.
How is John in the situation that he's in if like Nyla's supposed to be
Yeah.
around too? So I'm like, what the heck?
Was it just me, or did where they were at, like in the desert, look like the set that they were in one other finale, I think, or like a penultimate with
Season
Pete?
4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it definitely reminded me of that for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
It looked familiar to me, and I was like, are we supposed to believe that that's separate places or what? So,
Yeah. hmm
and then, oh my gosh, I forgot all about Miles's first date.
Right. Yeah.
I wonder who that is.
I know everyone has like ideas, but
hmm
I have no idea because Celina and Rodge are so good as far as we
Yeah.
know.
Unless she
So
likes to play the field or something, but I don't see her doing that. So,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know who
yeah,
Miles's first date could be, but I'm here for it. I'm here to find out. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Same.
And Xander had posted it's a season 7 wrap on Rodge. So, yeah. I feel like the fandom is still kind of mixed on him. I don't
hmm
know. He's good in small doses, I feel like.
Oh yeah,
So,
hmm yeah.
do you want to cover the next piece? Just
Oh
talking
yeah,
about
and
it?
then so lots of people were in Paris over this last weekend for the Empire Convention. They had hosted a Saving Lives Con and had the rookie cast. A good few of them came out and lots of people did like they did photos. There were panels. They did
hmm
like little like chats and things and they had like game night
Yeah.
for everyone to participate in. So that was pretty cool. And they posted on Instagram. Lots of other people have posted on Instagram. I think we retweeted a lot of the stuff
Yeah.
um, from the convention, but that's super cool. Everyone that got to go and experience that and just like experience Paris, my goodness, because
Yeah.
I've never been. So,
Yeah. I know. Did you see the little clip of, because Empire Conventions has posted like clips of the panels on their YouTube. Did you see the one of Lisette like doing theme songs
yes,
for
that was
each
absolutely
character?
hysterical.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so funny. And Makia like doubling over laughing,
Yeah.
couldn't even finish her, like pretend, you
Yeah.
know, check of the room or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that would totally be me. I wouldn't be able to keep a straight face
No,
either. My
I wouldn't
goodness, it was
either.
so funny. And then Eric being confused
Uh-huh.
all the way on the outskirts of the
Yeah.
stage was super funny too.
I love how
So,
Alyssa like escorted them off the stage and she was like, no,
right.
like you have to wait here. And
Yeah.
then before they even really started walking up on the stage, Lisette is doing bow chicka bow wow.
Right.
And they're just like, what are you actually doing? Like it
Yeah.
was too good.
They were very
And
confused.
poor Derek is just over there with his head in his hands, like, what am I even doing here?
Yeah.
It was so
Yeah.
good. So good. It made me more excited for July. I will say that.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so speaking of July, ECC 3, they're releasing meet and greets on sale tomorrow. So, yeah, be sure to get yours there. Any other like photos and duos and like autographs and stuff, those are all up too. So, yeah,
Mhm.
it's gonna be a good time, I think, in July. So,
Yeah.
there was a TV Insider article with Alexi, and he talked about the obstacle for Chenford and that it's still there. It's kind of a be careful what you wish for type of scenario. She got Lucy got the promotion, and we saw her vulnerability and fear. Um, and he also said, looking ahead to the finale, we're gonna see her trying to deal with the obstacle of working the night shift and the effect that has on her, sort of physically and mentally. And then also, how does she navigate it with Tim now that they're on opposite schedules? So, yeah.
Oh,
So
maybe I was
that,
right.
yeah, like you said, that's probably why she's laying across her bed. People have also been speculating that in the one like Happy Valentine's Day video that they did,
Mm.
there was
Mhm.
like a clip of where Melissa and Eric were like in a room and it looks like her apartment, like her bedroom
Okay.
or something. And people are saying that the outfits line up. So it
Oh
could be
goodness, I'm
that.
not that good of a detective. I didn't notice that at all.
I think they might be talking about like the outfit for Bailey, but even then she's not in next week, I don't think. So I don't know, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and then there was a Deadline article with Alexi too, and they asked if there's a chance that Pete Davidson could come back. And they said he said Pete is someone that they're desperate to get back, and he loves doing the show. It's just about trying to land when he's actually available. And hopefully in season 8. Please, I want Pete Nolan back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
And then Alexei was also asked about the future of the DA's race with Sean dropping out. And he said it's something that they're circling in season 8 and how much they lean into it. They're in the early days of writing for season 8, but it's not the end of that storyline. So, and same with Rodge and Celina, like, is that relationship going to continue next season? Alexei has said yes, we'll probably see him off and on in season 8 at some point. So, and then about Lucy, the sergeant's exam, the night shift, and Tim. He said that the challenge of the night shift is going to be Lucy's burden. And now that they're literally on different schedules, it's going to be another obstacle. Alexei also talked about the finale and Oscar coming back and said that Nolan and Harper go out into the desert. It'll be a big action movie, pretty big action set pieces at the end. So. And I feel like that'll probably go along with what Richard said about how like
Mhm.
we're gonna hope that we get a season 8 renewal because we won't want
Yeah.
to be like left, wondering what
Mhm.
happened. So yeah.
Yeah.
Um and then Alexi also talked with Screen Rant and they asked about Nyla and her mom, how they're different, and if Alexi always had that in the back of his mind when he created Nyla. And he said, I just really love the idea that her issue with her mom is that she was too nice and too sweet, therefore a little gullible. And Harper has grown up in a world where really bad things happen and people are bad. So it was a nice flip of the normal setup for a mom-daughter issue. He also said, like, he was also talking about the Nyla and Angela's moms like becoming besties dynamic. Um, and he said, I would watch that show every week. I love that dynamic. Those two actresses are brilliant and really understood the assignment. Same. Give me a spinoff with them and Angela and Nyla. Um, and then he also talked about the Eastern Front coming back into play. And he said, yes, it will in an unexpected way to sort of tease that. I think we have set up that Del Monte said, we're coming after you. And so, yeah, I think there's some unexpected payback that comes our way.
Oh boy.
If Del Monte gets hurt in any way, I'm not going to be happy.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
Michael Churko. And I like that he, like, comes in sometimes. Like, he's not a mainstay. He's there,
Right.
And I
Yeah.
like his scenes with Wesley. I don't want to lose those. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And then Alexei also talked about Rodge and Celina and how much time they'll be spending apart. He said, I don't know, it's the early days. The writer's room for season 8 just started yesterday, being 5/5 because the article was published on 5/6. I don't think it'll be that long, but I also like the idea that these two 20 somethings that these two are 20 somethings and we don't always need to rush into full on relationships or exclusivity or whatever. I think they're adorable together. We're just playing around with it a little bit. So, exclusivity. So, are
I
we
was gonna
trying to
say,
hint that Celina is not exclusive with Raj
right?
and
Like
she
that's
could
an
potentially
interesting
go on that
twist.
date with Miles?
We're just feeding the flames right now. It's fine.
Listen, I've kind of shipped them since the beginning. I mean, I didn't want to like admit it because I didn't want to be that person, but I'm also
Yeah,
like, I wouldn't mind it. So,
right.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, they could go on and it doesn't even say romantic date. It could just be like a hangout, you know?
Hmm.
I'm trying to spiral here, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's about it for the news. Um, Yeah, so we'll just jump right into the episode because there was a lot. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know, I don't know how you feel about the Skip Trace or Randy stuff, but I was kind of over it after this one. I was like, I'm
He just
done.
cracks me up so much though. Like it was so funny just to just hear
Hmm.
him say some of his lines. So like
Yeah.
yes, I'm like, oh, it's kind of played out, but then at the same time, it just cracks me up how like
Hmm.
John's his second best friend and the oh, I think I'm being robbed. Like he
Yeah.
just it's like too on the nose, but then in some ways it works. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I, I was having like trouble trying to figure out like if I was here for it or not. And then after the second rewatch, I was kind of like, I don't know. I'm kind of like, on it. Like I can do without him, but he is funny. So, yeah, so we'll start off with the Skip Tracer Randy and Chastity stuff. We open the episode with Bailey and John talking about a roof leak and how much that's going to cost. And Skip Tracer Randy is there. He needs advice from Bailey, who is his best friend, and John seems hurt that he's not his best friend.
Right.
And he needs ideas on what to get his future wife. And like he doesn't really say her name at first, so Bailey is like, "Well, who is she? Can't wait to meet her." And he's like, "Oh, you have.
Mhm.
It's Chastity Sneed." Um, and she's like, when we were role playing for the wedding, I felt a deep connection that I can no longer deny. It was like a year and a half ago. Or no, maybe
Oh, I
not
know.
that long, but yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Um, so it's just kind of like, okay. So he wants to make a grand romantic gesture and has a couple of ideas. He's also a Bitcoin billionaire and can afford anything. And it was funny how like Bailey was like, "We actually have to go to work. Maybe we can talk about
Right.
this later." And and Randy was like, "I'll give you $100,000 for like
Yeah.
5 more minutes." And John's like, "Sit down. What kind of coffee?" I'm
Right.
like, I would do that too, probably,
It's funny.
Someone's offering me that much, sure.
Yeah.
Um, so then we see Randy meeting Celina and Lucy at the park. Like he just somehow showed up to where they were. And he needs their perspective on what to get Chastity. And Lucy's like, "Well, I've always liked getting to know each other's shared goals and values." And Randy's like, "No, that's not good enough. What about a house?" And Lucy
Mhm.
suggests just talking to Chastity, getting to know her, her friends, her life. And to Lucy, she thinks women just want to be listened to, and that's the real foundation. And
Yeah.
I loved how Celina was like, "Well, what kind of house are we talking about? Like the real estate here is cutthroat."
Yeah.
But Randy leaves and he mentions picking up some diamonds on the way. And Lucy and Celina watch him leave, knowing that this is not going to end well.
Right.
Um,
I mean, this
yeah,
is the man that was between what was it, a giraffe and a purple Lamborghini,
hmm,
right? In the beginning, for two possible
yeah,
gift ideas. Like the man is nuts. He knows no bounds
yeah. I
at
also
all.
love how like he came in as Nyla's skip tracer, and now he's
Right.
John's best friend, and
Right.
he like buddies up to Lucy more. I'm like,
Yeah.
what happened to him and Nyla? I mean, did
Yeah.
Nyla just be like, I can't handle this anymore, like, and
I
push him
mean,
off onto John?
probably.
I mean, I'm sure, because I can see that being that. Well, then she's a
Yeah.
detective too, so like maybe it's a little bit different, but I don't know.
Mhm.
So, so then Randy shows up to Chastity's club bearing gifts, diamonds for her and her friends. The bartender is watching this and is suspicious. And I didn't catch it until my second watch, and I was like, "Oh, he's one of the kidnappers." Spoiler alert. Like, I didn't realize that.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, I didn't either.
So I wonder if like all that was planned. I don't know. It was just kind of odd. The bartender then gets on phone, turns away from what's going on, and that's all that we see. But Randy gets on one knee in front of Chastity, proposing to her, and he's flustered, and she mentions Pete, and he's like, "Well, I've millions," and she's like, "What about a sugar daddy situation?" I mean, I have to talk to Pete first about it, but I think we could get him on board. Um, yeah, and then that's all we kind of see. And so as Randy calls John, he groans. I loved how John groaned. I was like, I mean, I'd probably be the same way. Like, what does he want now?
Mhm.
Like, what kind of trouble is he getting into?
Right.
Um, but yeah, Randy's leaving Chastity's club and he gives John an update. Well, two guys pull up and corner him, pulling out a knife. And I love how John asks what's happening and Randy's nonchalant and cheery about it. And he's like, "Oh, I believe I'm being robbed. Yep. Yep, that's what's happening." And John's like, "I'm on my way. Just give them the things." And Randy warns them that he's registered as a lethal weapon in 4 states in the territory of Guam. And he's like, I know you're trying to rob me, but I don't think that's where we should begin. But I've also been told that you guys want this. Like, and they go after him, but instead Randy like takes them both down
Right.
and throws one guy to John's car as John pulls up. John opens the door, and Randy just called it crunchy. And I was like, okay, that's an odd description, but all right. And so he takes the one guy off the hood of the car that he threw, and he's apologizing for hurting him, but also telling him that he warned him of his skills, which, I mean, he did.
Mhm.
So Chastity calls John asking how Randy is, and Randy's writing up a statement. The whole sugar daddy thing is brought up, and Pete thinks that it's a good idea. I
Of
can't
course he
imagine
does.
why, because Pete is unhinged a lot of the time. So I'm sure he was like, "Hey, if we can get like a bunch of money out of this, why not?
Right.
Why not?" So, as they're talking, a van pulls up and two guys kidnap Chastity, leaving her purse and AirPods on the ground. And I just love how John like just sits there and he's like, "Hello? Hello? Are you okay?" I'm like, she's
Yeah,
not
it's like,
answering. I don't think she's there.
yeah, I was
Um,
like, dude, start moving.
yeah, like track her phone, something. And so Randy is offering $5 million for the safe return of Chastity. And he's all hyped about it, hyped about them calling her his girlfriend. And I just love how Gray was like, focus, focus. Like Gray was so done with him at this
Yep.
point. And so Gray's calling the tech guys, they'll be able to get on his phone for the next contact while John's getting a list of everyone who knows about his money. And Randy's like, it's a short list. I'm highly discreet. As a catering crew and Wolfgang Puck come in and they're catering the hostage negotiations. I would say that you're discreet, Randy, you know.
Yep.
So Tim and Miles come up and Randy's like, we're actually catering the celebration because I just gave the kidnappers $5 million. And Tim can't believe what he just did, saying that they're more likely to kill her than to give her back. And Randy's made this 100 times worse. And Randy gets another text saying that they're not going to kill Chastity, but instead they're going to double the original ransom. I just love how like everything that was being said was then contradicted immediately with like a
Yep.
text. So then Tim takes Randy's phone, literally like rips it out of his hand. Um and he's texting them that he's not paying another dime until he sees proof of life. And so Randy's worried that they're gonna get angry, but the promise of money is the only thing keeping Chastity alive. So if he hands over the money, she's just a witness that they have to silence. So then we see the kidnappers with Chastity, and they're talking about what they're gonna do. She can overhear and see everything, and they decide that they're just gonna let Randy sweat it out overnight. They know that he has the money. he can give them more and is quick to hand it over. So as Tim reads their next text that says, "We'll make contact in the morning or we'll kill her." Not sure which. Stay tuned to find out. I was like, kidnappers texted that. Okay. I mean, that sounds like something Randy would say. Not like kidnappers, but we all know that the kidnappers are not that bright. So Randy wonders how he's going to survive the night without descending into madness. And this was so funny because Gray and Penn like both turned away, and
Yeah.
Bradford just nods to Nolan like yeah. So you have to take care of this. Like, yep,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what has to happen. And so Nolan tells Randy that he can go home with him and Bailey, and they'll keep him company for the night. Yeah. I mean, he is Bailey's best friend, or
Mhm.
Bailey is his best friend, and John's his second best friend, so it just
Yep.
makes sense. So Randy has the catering company stop their setup and take it all over to Nolan's, telling them that he'll send them a MapQuest link.
Right.
Yeah. I, Randy is a special, special person. We love it. So Bailey and Nolan are talking to Randy, and he tells them that he gets into trouble quite often. Oh, they know. They know. Um, and so Bailey gives him some advice, and Randy goes to his room. And Nolan heard back from Pete. He was trying to get on a plane, but he's on a no-fly list because, of course, he is. So he's taking a bus.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, why are Pete and Chastity in like two totally different cities? Like, I would think that she's working and like they live in California full time. If she's
Yeah.
like, at the club. So, yeah. And Bailey's like, our lives are never boring. And John
Yeah.
agrees.
I mean, we've been saying that since season 4, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
they can't have a
literally.
normal date. They
Hmm.
can't do anything without one of them getting injured, someone shooting at them.
Yeah.
Like, just anything really can go wrong. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I yeah, as Bailey said that on Tuesday night, I was like, all I heard was you saying, yeah, they can't even have a normal date. Like,
Yeah, they really can't. So I was like, yeah, no kidding. Their lives are never boring because they're abnormal.
yeah, literally, Bailey has like 17 different jobs, and one is always bound to get her into trouble. So.
Yeah.
So John gets a phone call, but we don't know who it's from. He hears about Randy live streaming in the guest room about the ransom and it being right there, and he's turning the tables. And so Tim and Miles are coming back with an arrest of all these vigilantes who are out for Randy's bounty. And Nolan tried to get Randy to call this off, but he believes that the pressure will force the kidnappers to play ball. So while they're talking about this, Randy is in the background waving. I mean, like literally just trying to get their attention through the glass. And so they walk into the roll call room and they find out that the kidnappers make contact and Randy's pressure campaign worked. And I just know that Tim and Gray were both like, son of a gun. Like this
Right.
guy's plan actually worked.
Yeah.
Um, so he's like, I'm gonna stand against this wall and answer so that they don't know where I'm at. And so the tech team is tracking the call, and as Randy answers, he's like, "Hello, it's Skip Tracer Randy, or whatever it is." And it's like
Yeah.
he's talking like so slowly to try to
Yeah.
drag on the call, and everyone's like, "You don't need to do that."
Hmm.
So the price is now tripled, which is fine with Randy. He just wants proof of life and has 1 hour to send them $15 million in Bitcoin, or Chastity will stop being fine. So Randy like signs something to Chastity, and she signs back mall, which Miles decodes, and they figure out the mall that they're gonna be at. And the team leaves, and Randy wants to go too, but Nolan's like, it's best if you don't. So, a fun little fact is like, because Derek was asked if he actually knew sign language for that scene specifically, or if it was a sweet touch for Miles. And it turns out that Derek does. He did a play at the Pasadena Playhouse a couple of years ago and had to learn sign language for that.
Oh, that's
So
fun.
that was a cool fact to find out. Um, So the kidnappers are talking through their plan, and Chastity is untying her hands. We don't really see any more from that, though. We see like the police squad rolling up outside the mall, and they're talking about like their plan of action. But they see another vigilante make entry into the mall, like literally come in a truck and like crash through.
Yep.
And so Chastity then comes out running from like the upper level of the mall. And she got away while the kidnappers were all busy patting themselves on the back for their genius, for the geniuses that they are. And they forgot about Chastity. So they're not very smart kidnappers.
Nope.
And so Bailey takes Chastity and the team, moves in with them, moves in with him saying, now it's a cleanup operation, no friendlies left inside. Um, and so Miles, like they're walking around, and Miles asks why they aren't shooting. And Tim says that the policy is clear. They need probable cause to commit a felony. The machine guns on their backs don't give them that. So it's not illegal for vigilantes to make a citizen's arrest, nor to use reasonable force to make that arrest. But shooting armed civilians is not a company policy. Um, and Tim's like, but if they are interfering with police operations and they come at the police, then all bets are off. So gunfire erupts at them. They take cover behind some pillars. They take one vigilante down. Miles cuffs him. They run into the kidnappers, who then run. Penford and Nolan are following after them, firing when they can. One is down while two more are on the run. So Brolin follows the two on the run. And Bradford takes one down while Nolan tells the other one to drop his gun and surrender. Um, and I loved how John was like, I'm surprised that worked. Like right in front of the guy. I'm like, can you be subtle, like for once? Please. Please. So Chastity is talking to Nolan and Randy at the end, thanking them for their work, and Nolan's like, "You did all of it. Like we didn't." Um, and Randy is sitting there trying to remember the password for his Bitcoin wallet because with all the stress of the day, he forgot, and he's like, "I'm stressed right now," and I'm like, "Yeah, you owe $15 million in Bitcoin, and you can't even log in, so I'd be stressed too." So he wonders if it's possible to remain Chastity's sugar daddy without having any sugar. And she's like, no. She says it so sweetly.
Yeah.
Um, and he says that he paid first price for Bradford, and it's Kiki Hernandez. And he's like, yeah, I paid $100,000 to charity for him to hang out with Tim for a few hours. Um, he wanted to thank Tim for saving his girlfriend. And Tim's like, I take back everything I ever said about that man. Um, which I mean, I guess what he gave Nolan and Bailey 100,000, right? So that was kind of like their reward for that. But Gray's little dance behind Kiki Hernandez was too good. He was
Yeah.
like, look at this. This is so cool.
Yeah.
And Kiki's like, so what do you want to do? And Tim's like, I have a mitt in the back of my truck. And, he seems hesitant about it, but he carries one too. And so that's all that we see, which I wish we'd gotten like another little sport scene, but I was like, that's okay, you know.
Yeah.
But Alexi was asked in one of the interviews like how it was to get like him and then Wolfgang Puck. And Eric's friends with this baseball player, so it was easy, but I'm like, that's pretty cool. Um,
Right.
I feel like they kind of pulled out the stops with the guest stars this episode. So just
Mhm.
like between bigger ones and then smaller ones too, because the actress who played Nyla's mom is like an Oscar nominated actress or something for The Color Purple. So yeah, so it was really cool.
Oh wow.
Um, but yeah. Do you want to take over for Angela and Nyla's storyline?
Yeah. So we start off with Nyla being at the station and she receives a call from her mom saying that someone's breaking into her house, and that's really all we hear before she hangs up, and her and Angela are running over there. And they discover that it was like an officer serving her mom an eviction notice, apparently. And Angela's mom also shows up and is, oh my gosh, are you okay? And all this stuff.
Hmm.
And Angela and Nyla discover that their moms are friends. Um, And so the guy explains that Ruth, Nyla's mom, has gotten quite a few of these like notices to vacate the premises. And she kind of is like, well, I've gotten a lot of junk mail, but she always recycles it. So it's safe to say she may or may not have thrown some of those away
Yeah.
accidentally. Um, and Nyla tells him that there's got to be some mistake. Her mom owns the house, but nope, not according to the documents that put someone named Priscilla in charge of the house, like in trust. So um, back at the station, Ruth explains to Nyla, Angela, and Angela's mom, Amelia, that she met Priscilla through a Facebook group where people post about their houses and everyone basically admires them. Priscilla had DM'd Ruth and told her about putting her house into a trust to protect it later, but instead, Ruth inadvertently made Priscilla the trustee by signing the documents. So now
Mhm.
Priscilla owns the house.
Yeah.
Um, and Ruth feels bad about being tricked. And, you know, um, Angela and Nyla tell her that apparently Priscilla's been on the fraud department's radar for a while, but they haven't been able to catch her because technically the paperwork is legitimate. Um, but they're gonna find a way to get her, and they're gonna use a decoy and use um, the Wolfhouse house
Hmm.
and use Angela's mom, Amelia. So,
I love how
um,
she was like, "Oh, hot damn. I'm down for
right.
this."
Oh yeah, she was so excited.
Yeah.
Um, because Angela had posted her and Wesley's house on the Facebook page, and Priscilla basically like took the bait right away. Um, and so they're gonna, like set everything up in a little bit. But then we see back at Nyla's house, her and Ruth get into a little bit of an argument about how trusting Ruth is versus how Nyla would, raise her kids to be aware of how things are in the real world. And you could tell that both women are feeling bad about the
Hmm.
situation that they have found themselves in. And so it leaves off on a bad note for the time being for them. But we then see that Nyla and Angela the next time are double checking with Amelia that she's good to go and as a decoy, and she's game to take down Priscilla in order to help her friend Ruth. So she's fine.
Yeah.
She's good. It's no wonder Angela has so much confidence, like her mom's
Yeah.
the same way.
Yeah.
Um, And so we see Angela and Nyla surveying things while Mira's inside Wolfhead's house, commenting on how, if Wesley and Angela have so much money, how come they can't afford a cleaner?
She
And
like runs her
um,
finger like along the
yeah,
counter or something.
yeah. And even when Priscilla arrives, she comments to Priscilla about how, it's not what she would have done, but it's okay, referring to like the decor, the
Hmm.
look of the place, and you can see Angela's reactions are just, priceless.
Yeah.
Um,
I would have loved
and
to see like a picture of Wes and Angela and the kids like
yeah,
on the table or something.
mhm,
But
yeah.
yeah, it was really good. I loved how Amelia too was like, I'm wearing a wire, just like they do in The Sopranos.
I know they went on and on about the Sopranos in the interrogation room. They were just like
Yeah.
so giddy about that. And
Yeah.
their daughters, meanwhile, are trying to get them to focus.
Uh-huh. The moms were just
So,
so excited to like be a part of it.
oh,
Like at
right.
least
Yeah.
Amelia was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we see Priscilla talking to Amelia about these trust documents, and Amelia says, she doesn't have her glasses, so if Priscilla could explain to her what these, what they say, um, and what they mean. And so Priscilla explains the same thing that she told Nyla's mom, Ruth, and Amelia asks if she'll still be able to live in the house until, she like presumably would pass away. And she said yes, which was apparently confirmation enough for Nyla and Angela to come to the door. And Amelia even said that her daughter's been wanting to meet Priscilla, and they end up arresting her for fraud. So, and we see Amelia and Angela high five each
Hmm.
other when Priscilla is taken away. So,
It was
they
just a
got
cute
her,
little
which is
moment.
good.
It
Yeah.
was a cute little mom-daughter moment with them.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I was just like, okay, I need to see them with their grandkids with their
Yeah.
son-in-laws, with everything. Like, just give me the whole family, the extended family, everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. And then later on in the episode, kind of the last scene for Nyla and her mom anyway, she apologizes for what happened and Ruth kind of, accepts it, and Nyla told her that it's a superpower that she can still see the good in people even after they've taken advantage of her. And Ruth compliments Nyla back, saying that, it's good that she wants to make a difference even with all the evil she's seen in the world, basically. So, they made up for their earlier argument and all seems to be okay between the Harpers. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. And then we have the Wesley case of it all. So Wes and Del Monte are walking through the office talking about the Burns case that Wesley took on for Del Monte, because he's been busy with college visits and the election, and he barely has any time to breathe. Um, so Del Monte is talking about local schools, and he says his son Logan wants to get as far away as possible. And Wesley mentions that Jack slept on his head the night before. And Del Monte's like, it's an old adage, but you're gonna miss it when it's over. And Wes is like, yeah, I'm sure that I will. We got Wesley like calling Angela his wife like 3 times in one scene. Then, all of the Nyla, Angela, their mom stuff. And then this little mention about Jack sleeping on his head the night before. This
Yeah.
was all the Lopez stuff that we needed that like I feel like we've
Right.
been lacking. So it was just so good to get it in the
Yeah.
penultimate.
I wish we had a picture
I
of Jack.
know. I
Like,
know.
I feel like Angela would totally just wake up, take a picture, and go back
Yeah.
to sleep.
Oh yeah, 100%. And then show him the next morning and be like,
Yep.
"Did your head hurt?" And he's like, "Yeah, why actually?" And she's
Yeah.
like, "Because you have like a 4-year-old, on it."
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I
Totally.
want to see a like baby Emmy like Evers with
Yeah.
Jack. I had to like think about it for a minute because we haven't had another mention of her name
Right.
or anything.
Yeah. I
And I was
know.
like, I wanted to call her baby girl, but then I was like, we have the actual name.
Oh, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So Penn says some southern phrase and he's like, if that ain't a fact, God's a possum. And Del Monte's confused and Tim's like, I've just learned to ignore the country commentary. Such a Tim Bradford thing to say.
Hmm.
So, yeah. And then Del Monte says, as long as Penn is clear and concise, a little personality goes a long way with the jury. And Tim adds, but not with your training officer. Like, Tim's reminding him that he doesn't take any crap. So Burns and his lawyer Atlas come up, saying that his client is innocent, and Burns claims that the guy had a heart attack and he was just doing CPR. But Tim's like, you beat the guy to death. So Wesley and Sean thought a junior associate was on the case, but Atlas must took over. Penn is now nervous, saying Burns must be higher up on the Eastern Front food chain than they thought. So Miles has to describe what he saw when he arrived at the Kindred Spirits Bar. And he mentions that he saw Mr. Burns beating Mr. Ashland. The tattoo is brought up. Atlas just wants to see where Penn was the night of the incident. And he ends up misidentifying it. So Wesley is walking to his car, which is a nice upgrade from the Prius that he was introduced in the show in. And he's talking to Angela about the house issue, and a gun is then put to his back. And he thinks he's getting robbed. He's like, you can have my keys in my wallet. They're in my front pocket. Like, just, drop the gun or whatever. And he's actually threatened to drop the case on Colin Burns. And Wesley's like, before you pull the trigger, you should know that my wife is a detective and a sharpshooter. So he actually called Angela his wife like 4 times in this episode. We love to see it.
Hmm.
And he was like, she's a detective and a sharpshooter. The man knows. He knows.
Yeah.
And so the guy says that he's not there to threaten Wesley. They're there to destroy Sean Del Monte's world. And it was, I mean, obviously, like, it's because of the window, but like, it was really cool that you could see like, Wesley's reaction through the window.
Mhm.
You know, like the camera wasn't totally on it, but you could still see it through the window. And you know, the guy says, you know, his angel of a kid has turned into quite the devil when his dad isn't around. Ketamine, coke, MDMA, and they've the video to prove it. So West has to check his email and drop the charges, or Logan's life will be destroyed. So as Harper and Lopez are meeting with their moms, Wesley pulls Angela away, and he needs her to put away cop wife for a minute. And so he tells her that the Eastern Front just leaned on him to make the charges go away. And she immediately goes into protective wife mode, saying, "If they threatened you, cop me is coming out of the drawer." And he's like, "No, they didn't threaten me." But, you know, he goes to show her the video of Logan buying drugs. And she stops him before he can show her, though, because she'll have to follow up on it. She sees it. And so she asks if Del Monte knows that Logan's using, but I mean, Wes doesn't know. He assumes that he doesn't know because Sean thinks that he's a Boy Scout. And so Angela's like, "You should pass along the threat." Like, but not because, you know, Del Monte's being extorted, but because his child's in trouble and he deserves to hear from a friend. So Wesley is back at the office, talks to Del Monte as a friend, telling him about the threat, showing him the video and everything. And Sean immediately starts beating himself up over this, you know, with Wesley talking him down, reminding Sean that now he can help him. And so Logan's gonna have to check himself into a rehab. And Del Monte mentions that Vivian Eckert would love that. Like his bid for DA would basically be over. Um, and Sean's spiraling, wondering if Burns testifies that he was drunk that night, like, you know, it just say it was a basic bar brawl and it was just self-defense. So Wesley tells him that if he gives in, they're just gonna keep coming back. He's been there before, meaning the whole Elijah thing, and the only way out is to take away their bargaining chip. So Del Monte can't let this video get out. It'll define son, his son for the rest of his life and destroy him. So Del Monte is in the parking lot or the parking garage and confronts Atlas, telling him his client crossed the line coming after his kid. And so Del Monte tells him that the DA's office is not dropping the charges against Burns. And in fact, he's going to make prosecuting the Eastern Front his own personal mission. So Wes comes up from behind and asks if everything's okay, but Sean says no, and he's going to be offline for the rest of the day. He has to get his son to rehab and needs Wes to cover for him. So Sean and Logan are in the car getting ready to go to rehab. Logan's not so sure about it. But before they can get out of the driveway, two masked men pull up behind them and start shooting. Del Monte gets his gun out of the console because it's like locked away, which was really cool. And starts shooting at them, taking one guy out, the other passenger is on foot running. Celina and Lucy come up though, and Celina takes him down, like the baddie that she is. Um, and he runs back to Logan, who's been shot. So we don't really see anything else, but Sean's sitting in the waiting room and Wes walks up. Everything's okay with Logan though. The bullet grazed his neck. And you know, the LAPD is going to come down on the Eastern Front like an avalanche. And so Sean tells him that he's dropping out of the DA's race and there's going to be a press conference in the morning. He just wanted to tell Wes beforehand. Um, and Wesley's like, "You're making the right call. You're a good dad." Like he reassures him for that. And they just sit there in silence, like just kind of looking off, you know, not looking at each other, just kind of looking off. But it was a sobering moment. I liked seeing that side of Wesley. Like, yes, he was having to kind of relive all the Elijah stuff, but then at the same time, like, it was different with him and Del Monte than it was with like him and James at times. So it was nice to see. Yeah. So that's it for the Wesley and Del Monte stuff. Next we have, I don't know, it's Celina and Rodge and then the whole Chenford and stuff. We just kind of meshed it into one. So take it from
Yeah.
there.
So we see Celina and Lucy are patrolling together, and Lucy's nervous about the results of her sergeant's exam. Her anxiety's at 12 right now, and supposedly the results go up today, as she told Celina. And Celina asks for Lucy's advice on what to get Rodge for his birthday coming up on Saturday. she's been trying to get in touch with her spiritualness and use her, intuitive nature and pick out the perfect gift for him, but she just can't seem to come up with anything. And so later on, we see that Celina is still struggling to come up with a gift for Rodge, and apparently her mind's eye gave her nothing. And so Lucy decides to ask guys what a guy would want and calls up who else but Tim Bradford. I mean, Miles is in the car too, but
Yeah.
um, Tim answers her call, and uh, she said that she wants to know what Celina should give Rodge for his birthday, and Tim answers with good whiskey and a cigar. And Lucy replies back, she's like, he's 20 something, not her father-in-law.
Hmm.
So, aka not a 45-year-old man like Tim
Yeah.
is. So
Yeah.
um Miles then asks what Rodge's love language is, and Celina's basically like, yeah, it's music, I think. And so he suggests writing a song for him, although Tim thinks it's not a good idea since Rodge is a professional and Celina wouldn't be able to do anything, to impress him. And I was like, okay, but to be fair, all of Rodge's songs are utterly ridiculous. So
Yeah, they
I was
are.
like, Tim, what are you saying? I mean, not that it's not, entertaining.
Yeah.
But I was just like, where is this coming from?
Hmm.
At least Miles reiterated that it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be heartfelt. And
Yeah.
they kind of end the call there. Lucy asked Celina if she plays an instrument and she doesn't. So Lucy was like, well, okay, let's keep thinking. Um, yeah. And so we see them in the one of the hallways of the station a little later, and Celina's, nowhere closer to getting Rodge a gift, and Lucy's freaking out because the exam results haven't been posted yet. And she tries to get Tim's attention, and she's calling to him by yelling Bradford, and he turns around and is like, what did I do? Um, and
Yeah, she doesn't
he
call
didn't
him Bradford many times. So I'm sure he was like,
know.
wait a minute. Like similar to when your mom like middle names you when you're in trouble.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm sure he was like, what did I do? Like,
Right.
it was just
Yeah,
he was
just not
thrown
used to
off.
it.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
And obviously she's wondering about the results. And Tim tells Lucy that it got delayed, but it should be posted tomorrow. And in true Lucy fashion, she, she's fine. Everything's fine. She's all good. Nothing to worry about. Obviously you can tell that she's a little more, anxious than she was
Hmm.
earlier in the day because she wants it to be there and just have this moment. Um, and so for Celina and Rodge, they're back at the apartment that she shares with Lucy, and she has a guitar in her hand, telling Rodge that she did in fact write him a song for his birthday. She doesn't play guitar, so it's going to be really rough.
Hmm.
And the song is also in Spanish, um, which was super fun. Um, to Since we know from last episode they both speak Spanish.
Hmm.
Um, it was just kind of, I don't know, it was just fun to see Lisa, sing, and then also for her to sing in Spanish.
Yeah.
Um, and so the English translations, basically what she says is, for stars, it's always easy to shine. So that's what she sings in Spanish. She kind of flubs a little bit of the chords on the guitar, and she apologizes. She just learned them, last night, so the song's not even finished yet. And Rod looks at her and is like, it's beautiful. She's beautiful, and he offers to help her finish it, and maybe he can even play it on tour. And Celina's like, wait, what? You're going on tour? And
Hmm.
apparently, yes, Rodge is going on tour to Europe and Scandinavia. And Celina said she would totally go if he ever was in Paris. She totally would want to go to Paris. And I was like, wow, how, I don't even know
Meta?
what to call that. Yeah, like foreshadowing, I guess,
Yeah.
unintentionally. Um, for Lisette anyway. Um, but unfortunately, Raj is not going to Paris. He is going to some place called Karuna, But they can figure all that out tomorrow because right now they have a song to finish. And so, um, Celina hands over the guitar to Rodge and he starts playing and they both start singing and laughing as they la 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 the rest of the song because Celina
Hmm.
doesn't have it done yet. And so they do that together and that's kind of where we leave with them. So
Yeah.
that was nice. It was a nice moment for them. It actually made me like I like them
Yeah.
as a pair now.
Yeah. I do
Um
too.
yeah.
I don't
So
know if I would want them like all the time, but
yeah.
in small doses, they're good.
Hmm. Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
are really cute though. I feel like people are still growing on them. They're still
Hmm.
growing on people, but I don't know. I feel
Yeah.
like there's definitely some people who are still like anti-Raj, which is fine, but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Um, I love how like she was like like I wonder if Liseth really does know how to play guitar or if she had to learn for that like a little bit. But I
Yeah.
wouldn't think it'd be that hard. I don't know. So,
I mean it's kind of difficult. I mean, like my
um,
sister learned guitar at a younger age and like I tried to do.
yeah.
They supposedly if you know three chords you can play most
Yeah.
any song, but I tried. No, it sounded
Yeah.
absolutely horrific. So I'll just stick to playing the clarinet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean it takes a lot to
Yeah.
yeah, be
Well, it's
able to do
similar to
that.
like Miles like knowing sign language. Like I wonder if that was something that
Hmm.
Lisette like did know or
Hmm.
if it was something that they had to like kind of do like a
Yeah.
quick lesson on. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. She has a very nice voice. I hadn't really like heard her
Hmm.
sing.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
obviously we know that she knows Spanish, but I don't
Right.
know. It was just like cool to hear her use that in a different way.
Yeah. And
Um,
I appreciated the subtitles like underneath too because I was like, yeah, I don't know all those,
I
so
did thankfully know Estrellas and stars. So I was like,
yeah.
okay, I know that. And I was like, okay, stars. I was like, I'm pretty sure that the next line's going to be something about them shining. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I was right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I got some of it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And so at the very end of the episode, we see Lucy is waiting for Gray to post the exam results, and Tim walks over and says, checking the time isn't gonna make that happen any faster. If that's not me, I swear to God, like with
Yeah.
anything that I'm nervous about, I just think, it's the what is it? The like, it's like watching or a watched pot never boils or
Hmm.
something. That so yeah. And Tim tries to reassure her that, it'll be okay no matter what the piece of paper says. And Lucy can't handle that blind optimism from him right now. And
Also
just as
me.
she's right.
Because when I'm
Yeah, it's
like
like,
stressed, I'm like, don't try to be
yeah.
positive about it. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Like worst case scenario
Hmm.
in your brain. And so as she's kind of saying that, Gray, you see Gray walk up towards the back and post the list on the wall there. And Lucy goes back and forth on whether or not she can, be the one to check it. She ends up asking Tim to do it, and he does. And like, oh, he let out a small sigh. So I was literally like so worried because I hadn't
Hmm.
like seen the episode live or anything. So I was just watching it on my own. So I was like, oh my God, she didn't make it. I was like, oh
Hmm.
no. But no, he tells her to look, and she does. And she sees that she not only passed, but she's ranked first. So that was good. And we see her, kind of breathe a sigh of relief. She's, smiling, happy, proud of herself. Tim smiling in the background too,
Looking at
like the proud,
Gray. Yeah.
right? Yeah, looking at Gray. Yeah, like the proud former TO and ex-boyfriend that he is,
Hmm.
So it's fine. Totally fine. And says that she's a typical A student, thinking that she'd fail even when she's top of her class. So it kind of reminded me, I'm just now thinking of it. I mean, I made a parallel tweet as I do with
Yeah.
moments like these, to when Tim got his sergeant's exam results and Lucy was there. But it also reminded me of when Lucy scored in their like rookie year tests or whatever,
Yeah.
and she got, like the second highest score or whatever.
Hmm.
And Tim was like, smiling in the background, and they
Yeah.
showed him for a quick second, so it kind of reminded me of that. Um, and yeah, so anyway, Lucy's happy that, she did it, and Tim's, like, of course you did it. And Gray comes over and congratulates Lucy and gives her the sergeant's, like the sergeant stripe badge things, and says that she'll be able to use her new credentials basically ASAP because she'll be taking the night shift. And no, she can't trade. She tried to ask, but I was like,
Yeah.
no. And so he, leaves them to it, and then it ends with Chenford basically making hard eyes at each other. It was a lovely way to end the episode.
Yes, it was. I loved how he was like smiling in the background. Like he's just proud of her. Like he is.
Right.
One
Yeah.
as a boyfriend or whatever they are right now.
Yeah.
But two as like her former TO. Like
Yep.
that's such a huge moment for him to be able to see and witness right there
Yep.
too. So, yeah. We do have a couple of listener thoughts. Melanie had said Wesley's storyline with the DA was great, brought back memories of the Elijah storyline, also showed growth in Wesley because he would have done what the DA did 4 years ago. Um, they also said the storyline with Rodge and Celina was cute, but I'm ready for Rodge to go. I am too, in that, like, I've kind of had enough of him in season 7. Like, give me him in season 8, just kind of sprinkle him in. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
They also said the scenes with Juarez, Chen, Bradford, and Penn were great. Loved them. Penn is growing on me, and I loved the fact that he knew what to do for Rodge's birthday, but Tim didn't. Yeah.
Right.
I feel like that's just kind of classic Tim, though, in a way.
Mhm.
Skipped Racer Andy, though. I know people love him, but that was my least favorite part of the episode, is what Melanie said. It was cute watching him try and win Chastity's heart and all, but I loved the other parts of the show better. Kind of same. Kind of same. We were talking about it a little bit before, but
Yeah.
I mean, I liked when he first came in and like the first few episodes, but this one I was kind of like, yeah, I'm okay without him in this
I
one.
just the hilarity in certain lines that he delivered made it okay for me.
Hmm.
But I can see what you guys are saying as well.
Like I like him and I feel like it adds like a different like aspect to the season. Like it's a nice
Mhm.
change, but yeah, I don't know. I was just kind of like, I don't know. The storyline was just weird, I guess, for me because I'm like, yeah, we
Mhm.
saw them in the Balin wedding episode, but it was like, okay, you're just role playing that for whatever reason. But then like
Yeah.
this one, it was just like, okay, this just feels weird because like we know that Henry and Abigail like broke up. Now Pete and Chastity are together, but like they're not. It's just weird. Like it just felt weird. So.
Mhm.
Melanie also said, I really wanted Gina Torres for Harper's mom, but Avery was a great choice. She's Oscar nominated for the original Color Purple. I loved her interactions with Angela's mom. It was like watching Angela and Nyla in about 30 years. Gave great insight into why Harper is so cautious about things, and it was the highlight of the episode for me. Yeah, I feel like I kind of like looked at it as it was like Harper and Nyla in the future, but then I was also just kind of like, it's Harper and Nyla now. I feel like, like I
Yeah.
don't know, the moms were just more excited to be a part of it, but like obviously Angela and Nyla working together is not as much excitement, but just like I don't know, like badass partners.
Right.
Like the moms were just excited to be there, but yeah,
Hmm.
it was fun. I would say
Yeah.
I liked the Nyla and Angela stuff probably the most in this episode.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, the Chenford of it all, but yeah,
Hmm.
definitely the Nyla and Angela stuff, and then the Lucy and Celina friendship because
Hmm.
yeah, I just loved that. So
Yeah.
yeah, do you want to take Emily's?
Yeah, so Emily had said she thinks that the scene between Rodge and Celina was adorable. And Lucy had tears in her eyes when she realized that she had passed the sergeant's exam. And she really like felt seen in that, moment. She really saw herself in that moment. And she said that we finally got to see Nyla's mom. She liked that they included the moms for Mother's Day, but did it subtly instead of making it a holiday episode. Wow, and here I am not even putting that together.
I didn't
Holy
either.
moly.
I didn't either,
Oh,
so it's fine.
fake fans right here. So
I
sorry.
didn't either. I wonder if
Love
they
all the
had
moms.
planned it like that though, or if it just kind of happened.
Yeah, if it just was serendipity or whatever they say.
I didn't even think of that though. Like I really
No.
didn't. So
Yeah. Good
I
job
love
for
it
pointing
though.
that out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's about it for this episode. I mean, unless we have any other notes.
Nope, just can't believe this was the penultimate. So next week is season
hmm
finale time, and I'm just whoa.
I honestly can't believe it. Like, I don't know where this season went, to be honest with you.
No idea.
But yeah, you can find us on Twitter at the Shop Talk Pod underscore or email us at shoptalktherookiepodcast@gmail.com with all of your thoughts. You can find us individually on Twitter as well. I'm at jsark804.
And I'm at Carrie Hyman.
And we're on TikTok as well at Shop Talk Podcast underscore. Be sure to check out our merch at shop-talk.dasher.com. We do have some new designs there, and they're on sale. And if you love the podcast, please leave us a rating and review. It helps others find us, and we would really appreciate it. And we'll be back next week to recap the finale. So exciting. And then after the finale, we'll probably just take like a giant long break because we
Well,
haven't
I
really
mean,
had
I
one.
technically have only been back for like maybe almost half. You've been
Yeah.
trucking along this whole time like the champ you are. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
no,
I
you've been
definitely
back for
don't
like
blame
half the
you.
season. And we've like pushed
Yeah.
episodes and stuff. So it hasn't
Mhm.
been like every single week on Wednesdays that we record. But,
Yeah.
it's been fun. So,
Yeah.
yeah. I can't believe that we're like at the end of season 7 though. Like we're getting
Right.
into like eighth season, like, shows that run for like more than just
Mhm.
5, 6, 7 seasons. Like we're getting
Yeah.
into that territory. So
Yeah. The
yeah,
longevity of it all.
yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, we'll be back next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Go get him, boo.